welcome to another episode of Three Conservative Gimps. We got a good show for you today. Unfortunately, we are going to be short-handed today. Lloyd couldn't make it tonight because his wife, Judy, is not feeling well. Hasn't slept, so when she's not sleeping, Lloyd's not sleeping. Lloyd is beat, so get well soon, Judy. Hopefully you'll get better and get back to your old sleep patterns so that Lloyd could be his old chipper self. So let's welcome my co-host for this evening, all the way from the great blue state of New York. Let's welcome Charles Galuski. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Art.
Hey, how you doing, Charles?
Pretty good. Weather's really pretty good here today.
Good. Yep, I am well rested from my long day. I went fishing today and been out in the sun cooking. So now I'll get another sunburn. But I did catch a nice catfish. So that was 5 minutes before we were getting ready to go.
Cool.
So
Did you cook that up
was
today,
good.
or are you going to cook that up another time?
No, I've released it.
Oh.
So I just have photos of. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty. So, I was pretty tired. So I grabbed McDonald's on the way home and had that for lunch and took about an hour nap after that. So
Cool.
That was how my day went. So I'm back to my chipper self and ready to go.
Good.
All right, so let's get going. So Hunter Biden entered a plea, or not a plea, but he got this sweetheart deal that he was going to plead to a lesser tax charge and go into treatment or something for the gun possession. Yeah. And now the judge has thrown out that plea, and so he basically pled not guilty. So there's going to be a trial fairly quickly here. So he's been charged with some tax evasion. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a laundry list as long as my arm.
Yes, of all these shell companies, and plus using his dad's influence when he was vice president, and now he's funneling millions of dollars to his father and his uncle. So, and plus he's in trouble with a gun charge because, when you've been arrested or have an addiction to cocaine, you cannot own a firearm. So there's that he's going to have to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out and how it may blow back on his father.
Well, I would agree with you, but the hackles are raising up on the back of my neck. I have a sense, I have a feeling this might be an awful lot for show.
Right.
That this is all going to be used to set up something else.
Okay. Right. Impeachment
that's
process.
What?
Right. Impeachment
process. Okay, okay, you talk now. I'm going to shut up.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I would hear you. All I would hear was, "Are you?" I was here, but process. And I'm like, okay, so what process? So I'm going to shut up so you can tell me what process.
Oh, the process of using that information for an investigation and a possible impeachment of Joe Biden.
Yes,
Okay.
but we're talking about the same system here, which is going after which has prosecuted conservatives for things that really shouldn't be crimes that aren't crimes.
Right.
So why are they doing this? They're doing this, to maybe get Joe out of office and install somebody else,
Right.
like we sort of discussed about before.
Right. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yep. Yep. Yeah. And so
That's what I mean.
yeah. Well, Joey, you're right. I think, and I think there's a good possibility that if nothing changes and it's Biden and Trump again, I think there's a good chance Trump will win this time around. And my prediction, what's going to happen right after he wins, there's going to be another pandemic. And
Could be.
or all of a sudden the media is going to say, wow, look at the spike in COVID cases. And all these blue states are going to start locking down and crapping out the economy again because they want to, the economy as bad as possible under Trump and then blame him for what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like they did the last time around. And I think what happened last time around, he got some really bad advice. But nothing like this has really happened. So we were in uncharted territory. We had this worldwide, serious pandemic. And it's like, well, shall we shut down the economy for 2 weeks? What shall we do?
2
And if
weeks
we
wouldn't have been
do,
horrible.
should we compensate the citizens for not working for 2 weeks by pumping trillions of dollars into the economy? And look at what happened. It caused this huge inflation.
Well, I think if we had stuck to that 2 week thing, it would not be nearly this bad, because we wouldn't have pumped trillions into the economy. It wouldn't have cost trillions of dollars. It cost trillions of dollars because we extended it out to what, 4-6 months, something like that. I mean, way longer than probably necessary.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then, as in the case of your state, your illustrious governor decides, hey, let's take these COVID cases or COVID patients and put them into these retirement communities or these old folks' homes. Nothing will happen there.
Well, it wasn't just random. It wasn't just random people. It was people that were in the nursing homes that got COVID and went into the hospital. And then as soon as they were done, supposedly, they put them right back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the issue. And it wasn't just New York State. Didn't Michigan also? Didn't Whitmer also do
Michigan
something like that?
did, and I think California.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, that's should I call it immunology 101 or virology 101 or just sort of basic disease control? You don't take people that might be contagious and put them with people who are healthy.
Right.
That's just that boggled my mind when I found out about that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like an option, you know. It was the governor. You know, we had, you know, people in the area had copies of the original. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, the original document that Cuomo approved or
Right.
mandate or whatever you want to call it. And so there was no choice in the option. It was when they're done in the hospital, get them out. And at the same time, we had, you know, like down in New York City, they had a $25 million, you know, like a field hospital with at least 200 beds. They, you know, the USS Comfort was sent in, and they had like 100-bed, you know, unit there. So that's just two places. They were talking about there's this huge mall up here in Albany called Crossgates Mall, and they were talking about shutting that down and turning that into a field hospital as well. And I'm telling you, this thing is huge. This thing's got to be at least a half a mile long. You could have easily put, you know, you probably could have put close to, you know, 500 or maybe even 1,000 beds in there, especially if you didn't just put them in the hallway. You know, there's huge anchor stores here. You know, there's Macy's, J.C. Penney's. There was a massive 20 some odd screen theater in there that could have been opened up. All these stores could have been open, but you could have easily put 1,000 people in there. Did they do any of that?
No.
No. There was even a thought. You know, we saw, you know, shortly after the lockdown started up here, we saw a huge. There were reports, rather, I should say, of the big military transports going up and down our. Well, it's Interstate 87, I-87 here in New York State, going north and south along that. And we had heard that that's what they were going to do. That they were going to turn Crossgates Mall into a field hospital. Did they do any of that? No. Not one bed was used in that $25 million facility down in New York City. It's like, wait a minute. You know, what the hell? And then they were bringing people from New York City, from like ground zero, and putting them in hospitals up here. It's like, wait a minute, you down there. You know, this is a disease control 101.
Right.
You know, and all that common sense that they teach you in effing high school, right? Totally ignored, right out the window. You got to be kidding me. You must be kidding me.
You're right, Mark. As a matter of fact, Steve Carpenter has come down with COVID. So we're hoping that he has a speedy and full recovery, because he just turned 70 and he's type 2 diabetic. So, yeah. Alrighty. So, how about those hearings, huh? Yeah, they had hearings on UFOs, and turns out we do have aliens, or alien bodies locked away somewhere. And these guys, they're under oath. So I'm like going, okay. Well, maybe all those stories that we've been hearing for the last 60, 70 years are not BS. So,
well, there's still an awful lot. There's still an awful lot surrounding that. Now, when I was in high school, you know, when you're, I forget if it was when I was in 10th grade or 11th grade, you had to do a college level term paper, you know, to prep you for what you would have to do when you were in college and had to write a term paper.
Right.
So I did mine on the Blue Book UFO cover up. You know,
Uh-huh.
and I went above and beyond. I had 18 pages. I mean, yeah, it's typed double space, so it's really not that much, but still, everybody else is doing the minimum, and I go off and I do 18 pages, and then
Mm-hmm.
an additional 6 pages of photographs and stuff that I copied
Mm-hmm.
out of all my sources, out of all the books that I used as sources and stuff. So I've kind of been aware of that for quite a while now.
Wow.
But like I said earlier today, I was listening to a lot of the UFO stuff on YouTube. That was from the Joe Rogan show,
Mm-hmm.
and he had this one woman on there. Now, she's promoting. She's written a book. She's written several books, and she's there promoting this book. So when I'm listening to that, I'm have to take a grain of salt
Yeah.
about what she's saying and what she's not saying, because Joe's asking her all these questions, and she's like, "It's in the book. It's in the book. It's in the book. It's in the book," because she doesn't want
Mm-hmm.
to give it away on his show.
Right.
She wants everybody to buy the book.
Right.
But what she did say
That's
is what she said is that the first year, and I don't know how this really, I don't know how this really could be quite entirely true, but she said that she had a source. The source was somebody who also worked on the Manhattan Project, who told her about all this UFO stuff. And what she said is that these alien bodies weren't really alien bodies. They were small human bodies that were surgically altered by the Russians
oh.
and somehow deposited here in the United States. And that afterwards, we tried to figure out exactly what they did, what the Russians did, how they altered these bodies, these human bodies, to look so alien and be so alien.
Wow.
Um, so is that information coming out now because it was true, or is it information that's coming out now to sort of smokescreen that
Right.
maybe we do have aliens?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or,
I don't know. Like I
or
said, I
it's
took
a
everything
way to
with a grain
say,
of salt.
don't look at the Hunter Biden thing. Hey, look over
No,
here, squirrel.
well, exactly. Yeah, that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I mean, our government is always playing that shell game with us now. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is from CBS, and it says David Grush, who served for 14 years as intelligence officer in the Air Force and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, appeared before the House Oversight Committee's National Security Subcommittee alongside two former fighter pilots who have had first-hand experiences with UAPs. And UAPs are unidentified
Aerial.
anomalous phenomenon. Yeah. And
You can't even call them aerial anymore.
yeah. And he discussed that he was denied access to those programs when he requested it, and accused the military of misappropriating funds to shield these operations from congressional oversight. He later said he had interviewed an official who had direct knowledge of aircraft with non human origins,
Mm-hmm.
and so called biologics were recovered from some craft. Wow.
Yeah, EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities.
Right. So, I mean, if that's true, then that proves that interstellar travel is possible.
Well, I think I think most likely it probably is. I mean, just mathematically speaking, it's ridiculous to think that we are the only sapient species in the whole universe,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and that our understanding of nature and science is the be all and end all.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, what if an alien race has a different set, has some other sensory organ that we don't have and can sense other energies, wavelengths, harmonies between energies. One of the things that one of the guys talked about today was um, it's not that using gravity for travel has nothing to do with gravity manipulation, but the craft being in harmony with gravity, which makes a lot more sense, because like when we try to manipulate anything on this planet, it backfires on us. But when we work in harmony with what we've got, then we have an awful lot of success.
Right.
You know? So it wouldn't surprise me if there is some method of, you know, gaining resonance or harmony with gravity waves that we could use, that could be used for travel.
Joey wants to know when the first GOP debate is. I have no idea. It'll probably be when we start getting into the primary season, which will probably happen after the first of the year, because I think the first primary is in either late February, early March, and it usually is Iowa. So that is my assessment. What say you, Charles? Am I in the ballpark? It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't see. We got to know who's running.
Yeah.
Before we can have a debate.
Well, we know we've got Vivek Ramaswamy. He's running. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Chris Christie of New Jersey, and Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and who else? There might be even more jumping in.
Do you think Mike Pence is going to make it that far? I mean, really, after his "that's not my concern" comment?
Well, that you might be right. August 23rd in Milwaukee. That would be in 2024. That would be the what's that called when you when both parties have their
the convention?
Convention, that's right. That's right. Nope, it's not this year, Jay Bird, because that all starts in 24. Because right now we're in an odd year, so that's mostly municipal election right now. Yeah. So, yeah, that's right. Just Google it.
Yeah, that's right. I tried, but.
So yeah, it was just kind of interesting to hear about this. I'm always kind of skeptic about aliens. It's like, all right, if I'm wrong, well, we'll hear about it in about 3 weeks then. So that'll be interesting. So what else? Okay, boy, we're just blasting through these topics.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden made a statement the other day, or just recently, that cancer has been cured. Not that and I heard the quote. He didn't say he cured cancer. He said that cancer has been cured. I'm a little skeptical because cancer research is because there's so many different types of cancer.
Yeah.
and they're
And the commercials on TV asking for money for research are just unending.
yes. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking about. Was the convention is next year. So, so anyway, so I mean, well, I mean, cancer research has come a long way because you know what came out of World War I? Chemotherapy
Oh
came out of
wow!
World War I. They found out that mustard gas kills cancer cells. So they started doing
Don't they
some
kind of kill
experiment.
everything along?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
What?
So they started doing some experiments, and they found out that certain amounts of this chemotherapy, that's how they came up with chemotherapy, was you have to kill the cells. Otherwise, if you don't, uh, it's just going to keep replicating itself. It's
Out
like
of control, yeah.
a copying machine gone out of control until it reaches a state where that, because cancer likes blood, it loves oxygen. Well, oxygen actually kills, but it's blood that nourishes the cancer cell. So what chemotherapy does, it comes along and it kills the cancer cells. But on the downside, it's also incredibly toxic.
Yeah. It
But
doesn't
over
really
the
discriminate
years,
that much.
they've developed it to where it's the side effects are less and less, and and they target it to kill the cancer cell. Yep.
He's kind of right.
Yep.
Basic idea behind cancer is that there's um, a malfunction in the parts of the DNA that control the replication of cells. So instead
Right.
of going from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 48, and yada yada, you get 1 goes into 3, and then 3 into 9, and then 9 into 27, and that's how it replicates out of control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to take DNA to repair that. So I think down the road we're going to be taking, what, stem cells from our own body to attack the cancer cells. And that way it it kills the cancer cells without killing the healthy cells.
Well, that's sort of what the gene. I think that's what the gene therapy the gene therapies that they're using right now are doing.
Right.
And it doesn't really kill the cancer cell; it fixes it.
Right.
It puts puts the proper DNA coding sequence back in, so that then we don't have. So then it does go 1, 2, 2, 4, 4, 8, and yada yada.
Right. Hmm. And also, they're using DNA to replicate organs, skin,
Yep.
bones, and so forth. Say you need, say you have a bloodborne cancer, so you need something that stimulates the white blood cell count. So what you do is you take your stem cells and you start growing these healthy cells that re-inject in your body, and then it kills those cancer cells. And like, uh, here's a wild thought: we've got 3D printers. What if we had the technology to use a 3D printer to use DNA proteins to I don't know, make a new heart.
New pancreas for people suffering from diabetes,
Right.
regardless of whether it's type 1 or type 2.
Right.
Of course, I think type 2 might actually be more insulin resistance than actual damage to the pancreas.
Right. Or how about livers? I mean,
Anything.
yeah. And it would be a great thing for someone like myself. I have arthrogryposis. If we could figure a way to take the atrophied muscle, regenerate it, and because the muscles are atrophied, the tendons are short. So that's why I can't open my limbs all the way. And if we were able to repair those muscles to where I could extend fully, I mean, that would be awesome. Mm-hmm.
You'd actually be 5'7".
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, I mean that kind of stuff would be great.
Mm-hmm. So welcome to 3 Conservative Gimps medical show. Or say you have a little person, you could figure a way to use that to lengthen their bones.
Oh, but that would be so painful because you'd
Yeah.
have to lengthen more than just the bones.
Right, and they already do that. What they do is they break the bone, and then they stretch it just by a millimeter or so, and then the tissue grows back into that, and they keep doing that, and it's like, oh man.
No.
I know, and I've been in traction on both legs, and that is no fun. Because basically what they were doing is stretching my muscles out to where I could straighten my legs out as far as I can, so that I could just be mobile, walk around on crutches, and not be stuck in a wheelchair. Yep. Yeah, it's also my favorite song. I saw it the video the other day, and I'm like going, I don't see anything about lynching in that video. What the hell are they talking about?
Well, supposedly it was filmed in front of a building where there was a lynching or something like that. Like we're all supposed to know about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's because he chose the word try that in a small town. That was their dog whistle that got them all up in arms about it. Yeah. Because basically what he was talking about was the song is about helping each other.
Mm-hmm.
The small towns, people help each other. They watch over each other, and they don't put up with that kind of crap that happens in big cities.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So try that in a small town. So how big is your town where you live in, Charles?
Well, it's grown considerably since I was a kid, but when I was a kid, the last time anybody talked about the size of my city, it wasn't even large enough to be considered a town.
Oh.
It was considered it was a hamlet, and the population was under 2,500.
Wow.
Now, plenty of other people have moved in. As a matter of fact, right here on the road that I've lived on the vast majority of my life since I probably like within the last decade or so, we've had let's see, at least 5 or 6 families move in along this road, at minimum.
Oh. All right. Cool.
So,
and I imagine your town is fairly old. Is it over 100 years old? 150?
I'm thinking it must be. I'm thinking it must be. And the gentleman that invented the Singer sewing machine was born here in my little town.
Okay, cool.
So that's, I mean, we have that little bit of claim to fame, and
Cool.
it's got to be at least 100 years old. So
right. Well, the town that I live in, it was founded in 1870, so 6 years prior to statehood. Oh, and by the way, Tuesday is Colorado Day, which is the day that Colorado became a state.
cool.
Yep. And the city I live in is Arvada, Colorado, and I believe we are the 8th largest city in the state, with over 100,000 people. Now, when I lived in Aurora, Aurora is the 3rd largest city with over 300,000 people. And the 2nd largest city is Colorado Springs. And the reason Colorado Springs is so big is because of the military presence. You have the Air Force, the Air Force Academy is there. Then you have NORAD there. And you have Fort Carson that's nearby. And of course, Denver is the largest city with just a little over 700,000 people.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay, according to I found this little thing about my little town. According to where'd the information go? We had a post office here in 1854.
Cool.
Yep. We as of 1916, the population here was about 550 folks.
Cool.
Oh, wait.
And that's about it?
Well, wait a minute.
Okay.
We got something here about Henry Birch. Of course, it doesn't. Henry Birch and Ann Birch must be a husband and wife, ancestors who were born or died in my city in New York.
Right.
There's a bunch of different people here, but they must be a family or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people going back to like 1811, people born here 1811, 1801, 1771.
Wow. Interesting.
So yeah, so we must have been around for quite some time.
Right. No relation to John Birch?
Is that John Birch spelled with an I, B-I-R, like the tree?
Right.
Then they must not be, because these people are Birch spelled with a U.
Okay. Yeah. For those of you that don't know who John Birch is, he started a movement that was like far right. I mean, they're further right of libertarian, and they're kind of kooky, and but I think the libertarian movement got their ideas from John Birch and decided, and that's got started back in the early 70s, where they wanted to start a party that was, different from the Republicans and different from Democrats. They wanted to give people a different alternative. And what did they end up doing? Well, they end up giving seats to Democrats because they take votes away from Republicans, and since they don't win, well, I take that back. They will win seats in municipal elections because I have a friend from high school, one of my high school classmates, libertarian. He's on the Hazel Park City Council in Hazel Park, Michigan. Mm-hmm. And his name is Andy Lecuro. And libertarians, they're the smart, pot smoking wing of the Republican, or just right of the Republican Party. Yeah. They're all about being, hey, we want to be free to do anything as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. Party.
Well, it doesn't sound like a bad thing.
No, it doesn't. But some of their ideas are pretty extreme. Where, they want to legalize all drugs, and I'm like, oh boy, that could lead to a lot of unintended consequences.
Yep.
Yeah. And they are absolute about their beliefs. They don't, they want 100%. They don't want 90%. They want 100%. And that's why they don't win a lot of seats. Because elections politics is about winning elections. So people complain about, this candidate, he keeps working with the other side. And it's like, well, it's called horse trading. If you want to get your bill across, you have to, because your party is not going to be the party to carry your bill across the aisle, because you have to work with the other side, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. But here's the other idea. We have been doing that with the Democrats since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting bigger and bigger government. For what? I mean, just because we want a little bit of our crumbs. And it's like, and now the Democrat Party has gotten so extreme, and their ideas and policies are so out of whack with what the American public wants, that now it's time that Republicans need to get back into control and basically stop working with Democrats, or get into a position to where if they want to compromise, they have to compromise our way. Because we have been compromising to their side since the late 50s, early 60s. And that's how we got this so-called war on poverty. And speaking of war on poverty, how is that going to end? I mean, is there going to be an armistice? I mean, are we going to invade poverty and win it? I mean, what is winning that war going to look like? Just like the war on drugs. What's that going to look like? I mean, during World War II, what did we do? We occupied Germany.
Yeah.
That's how we won that war. We occupied Japan. That's how we won. We conquered these people. So when they say war on poverty, yeah, it's just
terrorism or drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
It's automatically a war that can't really be won.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or at least not not under conventional methods.
Right.
Like in order to win the war on drugs, there's got to be no demand for it. So how do we
Right.
create? No, you can't just block the supply. You've got to find a way to get people not to have a demand for it. Now, how do you do that? Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. Well, no, but
we occupied it afterwards.
Yes. What dropping the atomic bombs did was it kind of shook the Japanese psyche to the point where, okay, we want our society to be obliterated and annihilated, or do we want to just say, okay, we're done, let's rebuild and keep our culture going, because that's what they were facing. They kept on fighting. It'll be hundreds of thousands more deaths, possibly millions more deaths. So this kind of, especially the emperor of Japan, because his psyche was, wait a minute. If we don't stop this, our culture is going to be erased.
Yeah.
So let's stop this now, and let's rebuild. And fortunately for him, MacArthur had the forethought saying, hey, we need this emperor to stay in power, but only be a figurehead, because people see him as a god. And he brings stability to the country. And that's what came out. And after the war, we came in and we basically had to, rehabilitate those people, because they were so bombed out and devastated, because they were starving. Because I remember, well, my dad telling us when they were in Japan, they had orders: do not eat in their restaurants or in their homes. If they invite you in, do not accept food, because these people are starving. We need to help them. So basically, we came in and we took all the weapons that they had and destroyed them. And the ones that weren't destroyed, they had the chrysanthemum emblem stripped off of the weapons. So, they had some for protection, or, like some of the soldiers brought these weapons back here, and they actually made sporting rifles out of them. Because surprisingly, those Arasaka actions were quite strong to make into a high-powered hunting rifle. Mm-hmm. So, bet you didn't know that, Charles.
Well, no, I didn't. I wasn't aware of that. I mean, I know that we did go in, and we we ended their military. We took over the military and took over protection of Japan for a very long time, and they weren't allowed. I thought, I didn't know about the citizens not owning weapons, but I know they weren't allowed to have their own military. But we said, okay, we will protect you. We will. They had some sort of emergency forces and stuff, but not like a military.
Mm-hmm. And we did basically the same thing in Europe. It was called denazification. where we went into Germany and we basically, anything that has a swastika on it, gone, taken away. So if any soldiers brought back weapons, they had anything that had a Nazi logo on it was stripped off of that. But fortunately, a lot of those Mauser rifles, they were made all over Europe, and not all of them had any Nazi insignias on them. So, but if you found one and you were able to purchase one, they cost a pretty penny because they are highly prized because they're so rare to find.
Like finding a samurai sword at the bottom of the Japanese Ocean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and that's how we did that, and I think that's where we went wrong with the Middle East. We didn't try to what I would say denazify those people. Basically, we tried to do a Marshall Plan in the Middle East. We bombed the crap out of them, took over, and then we said, okay, we got this constitution. There, have at it. But it's a different culture.
Yeah.
Democracy doesn't really work in the Middle East because it's based on a religion. And there's no parties. There's just a leader that, and everything is according to Islamic law. And that's why that failed. And I think that's why we failed in Iraq. And the only way we could defeat those people is just bomb the crap out of them to a point where they just don't have the wherewithal to fight back.
Yeah, but we really don't want to be doing that. That's
no. Alrighty, so we've managed to bloviate for almost an hour here. And we've covered more topics than what we were going to talk about, and it's gone into other areas and brought you a little bit of history and sociology and medical science. We do it all here, folks.
Yes. We're your place for one-stop discussions.
Yep, that's right. Yep. And we're praying for Judy to hopefully get back to a regular sleep patterns, and we get Lloyd back here. So I'm imagining there's probably not going to be a grumpy vlogger tomorrow, but we'll find out tomorrow afternoon when I get the information. So let's see if we could stretch this for another minute and a half, and we
maybe I can convince Lloyd's cousin Floyd to come on.
Yeah, there we go. Well, you're right, Joey. Yeah, that was just. I mean, we did no better than what the Russians did. Russians came in and occupied that area for 20 plus years. And they walked away with nothing. Yep. That's right, Joey. What we should have done back in 91 is we should have gone all the way to Baghdad and just finished that. Who knows? Maybe that would have prevented what happened on 9/11. I don't know. Maybe not. So, Charles, thank you for helping out here. Hey, everybody in the chat, thank you for coming. Jaybird, Mark, Lee, and who else was here? We got a
Mark R. White, or you said Mark?
Mark R. White and Joe America was here. Yep. Lee Beesing. Yeah, so. Yeah. So, all right. So thank you, everybody. And Steve Knowles. And everybody have a great week. Enjoy your last 2 days of July. And don't forget, August 1st, Colorado Day. That's the day Colorado became a state. And August 2nd is my girlfriend's birthday. She will be 40 years old. So everybody take care. Catch you next week. And walk away from this with more information than you knew about before. Take care. Bye-bye.
Catch you later, folks.